All right, so thank you again and welcome. My name is Mon Gregory. I'm the director of the Institute for the Advancement of Philosophy for Children at Montclair State University, the IAPC. This year, we will be celebrating our 52nd year in existence. We were founded in 1974, which was before I got there, but I came along later, and I'm happy, very happy that we're still going strong. And let's see, maybe 4 years ago, Montclair State University bought into this platform called Digital Commons, which is a digital archive platform that many museums and universities use. And I was very happy that enabled the IAPC to make a lot of our curriculum resources and our research resources available for free open access around the world. This little map that you see on this first slide is our latest download count. So far up as of this week, we are 66,600 and something downloads from our site in just the last 2 or 3 years. So that's really tremendous. We're really happy that people are taking interest in it, and it's from over 100 countries and regions in the world. So this map is kind of showing that. So I'm just briefly just going to talk about what kinds of curriculum that we have available and a little bit of the theory of the IAPC curriculum. And then I'll talk a little bit about the different kinds of scholarship resources that we have available and a few of our archive materials. First of all, the IPC curriculum. If you're not familiar with it, the IPC curriculum is designed as a systematic P through 12 grade curriculum in philosophy. And it consists of student novels at various age levels. And these novels depict sort of ordinary children exploring philosophical issues in their own experience. And these are accompanied by teacher manuals, pretty thick teacher manuals that have conceptual explanations for teachers, and they have exercises, discussion plans, and games, and other kinds of philosophical activities for the students. I just want to give you a little bit of theory about the IPC curriculum. I know a lot of people around the world use many different kinds of materials to engage children in philosophical inquiry and thinking and discussion. The IPC curriculum is unique in a few ways, and I just want to talk briefly about that. So the idea is that the novels that the students are reading are doing different kinds of modeling for the students. So for one thing, they model children who are recognizing philosophical dimensions of their own experience. For example, ethical dimensions and political dimensions and aesthetic dimensions and logical and epistemological dimensions. And this goes along with the idea that philosophy, as we see it, is part of the meaning of ordinary experience for everybody, including children. It's not some esoteric, highly intellectual discipline that we're trying to foist onto children. It's recognizing that children already have ethical experience and they deserve and they need and they love to have opportunities to explore that. The curriculum also models children having philosophical discussion, dialogue with adults and without adults, with each other. And it models philosophical thinking and discussion making a difference in actual experience. And we think that's really important. So, a sort of philosophy as a way of life is the way we think about philosophy for children. The IPC curriculum tries to make it easy to recognize philosophical concepts and issues. They're sort of scattered throughout the novels. You don't need to have a philosophical background. Obviously, most children don't. And so just reading the novels and discussing them together is a way of what we use the metaphor of developing a philosophical ear, the ability to recognize philosophical issues and concepts and problems as they come up. And this curriculum also tries to familiarize young people with concepts and diverse positions from the philosophical tradition, the Western tradition. Today, we're happy that other people in other parts of the world are uh, writing novels and producing philosophy curriculum on the model of the IPC curriculum, but bringing in other philosophical traditions, for example, Asian, African, and indigenous philosophical traditions. And the IPC curriculum is tries to be, it was attempted to be systematic in introducing the kinds of concepts, philosophical questions to young people in sort of an age, let's say age appropriate or age relevant way. So for younger children, there's a lot of talk about friendship and fairness and family relationships. And then the curriculum for adolescents gets into political and ethical issues like dating and government. So the IPC curriculum also gives practice in thinking skills and inquiry skills for kids. And this is also a way that it was meant to be systematic. So, for example, in the earlier curriculum, there's a lot of practice with analogical thinking, making distinctions, making connections, relationships of identity and difference. And then toward the middle school, we get into making inferences and syllogistic logic. And then in the like the secondary school curriculum, we're applying these kinds of thinking moves and inquiry skills to more substantive philosophical issues. So that's just a little bit of the theory of the curriculum. This is just one example of a discussion plan from a third grade, the manual to a third grade novel, Keo and Gus. And I still find that when I'm introducing this in schools, I still find that for a lot of teachers, this is kind of an unusual kind of discussion plan for a text that the kids have been reading, because you'll notice that these questions are not asking the reader comprehension questions like, did you understand what you read? They're sort of using the novel, the story, as a jumping off point to think about philosophical issues, in this case, beauty, what is beautiful. So now I'm going to show you the, this works. Yeah. So this is our website. This is the Montclair State University IAPC Digital Commons website. Actually, let me go to the, this is the homepage of the website. And then we have links to the various kinds of resources that we have. And down the bottom, you can see our total today, as of right now, this moment, we're at 67,719 downloads. The first link here is the curriculum. So I'm just going to show you that. And the first part of the curriculum collection here is the IPC curriculum, and it's organized by age group. So we have a preschool curriculum, which is puppet stories. We have early elementary, later elementary, middle school, and secondary school. And there is one adult education curriculum that Matt Littman wrote called Harry Prime. But for example, if we go into the later elementary school, we have the novel here. So here's a novel, Keo and Gus, and here's the teacher manual for that. If you click on that link, you can download it right here. It gives you a little bit of background information, a summary of the text, a little excerpt. Oh, and there are links to translations. The IPC curriculum has been translated into dozens of languages in different parts of the world. And the publications that are still available somewhere, we have linked to where you can order those. And otherwise, we have references. And I should say, all of these, we have copies of these in the Montclair State University Library. If they're not available anymore to order, to look at, you can come to our library and take them. So again, if you just click on the download, there it is. There's the book, the whole thing for free. So that's that. I wanted to also mention that, let's see if it's in early. A few years ago, we got a grant from the American Philosophical Association to redigitize, to produce a new digital version of this curriculum. We started with Pixie because that's one of our most popular curriculum titles. And we produced two new digital versions. There's an ebook version and a PDF printable version. And the nice thing about this is that these are optimized for the visually impaired. Let's see, that looks like it's going to ask me to download, so I'm not going to do that. But these new versions Like on an e-reader, you can make the text bigger or smaller. It uses bold font instead of italics. We follow there are a number of rules that you use to optimize a text for visually impaired readers. And so we've now done that with Pixie and Harry Stottlemyre's Discovery. Right now, we're doing it with Keo and Gus. And within a year or perhaps 2 years, we will have all of the IAPC curriculum now produced in new digital formats that are enhanced in this way. So I'm really happy about that. Okay, another curricular initiative that the IPC began in 1979 is called Thinking in Stories, Reviewing Philosophy in Children's Literature. And I'm just going to tell you if you're not familiar with it, I'll just tell you just a little bit about it. So it was created by the late American philosopher Gareth B. Matthews, who was a philosopher. He specialized in ancient and medieval philosophy, but he also had an interest in philosophy for children. And so when the IPC began our academic journal, Thinking, in 1979, Matt Littman invited Gareth B. Matthews to be a contributing editor of the journal and to create this column called Thinking in Stories. And so the first page of every issue of the Thinking Journal was a one-page review of a children's book that in some way goes philosophical, had something philosophical going on that he wrote about. And Matthews, we actually sort of almost single-handedly created the sub discipline of philosophy and children's literature, which today there's a lot of scholarship around that. And if you're interested in that, our book on Gareth Matthews is titled there, and Karin, who's here with us today, has a beautiful chapter in there. Matthews discovered that if he found he was reading reading books to his children, and he noticed something philosophical going on, and he would take it to his university class where he was teaching about that issue, and he found that it was a way that sort of convinced his university students that philosophy, again, is not this esoteric, strange thing, but it's actually part of the meaning of ordinary experience. And he found that using children's books to do that was a great way to talk to his university students about it. He also, I'm going to show you in just a minute, he also created some teacher guides to some of the books that he was reviewing. In the end, before he retired, he did 58 reviews of children's books, and we have all of those available, which I'll show you. So we've been studying Gareth Matthews' work, and these are just two broad generalizations. Like, what does it mean to say that a children's book has something philosophical going on in it? Like, how do children's stories go philosophical? There's two broad ways they do it. First of all, it's just in the content. They bring up a political issue or an epistemological issue in the book. But the other way that Matthews was really that he really sort of invented is that he noticed and started to distinguish different devices, literary devices that children's books authors used to make a children's book go philosophical. For example, he coined the phrase philosophical story irony, which means that the characters in the book don't know something that the reader does know, but in order to figure that out, you have to do some philosophical work. Or a philosophical fable, he says, is a fable that has a problematic moral at the end of it that doesn't quite fit, or that's kind of ambiguous, or that you don't really agree with. So you got to do some thinking to figure out what the moral of the story is, and if you agree, and if so, what does that mean for your life? Thought experiments, of course, are well known to philosophers, and Gareth Matthews found that there are philosophical thought experiments going on in a lot of children's books. So when Gareth Matthews retired, we invited Dr. Peter Shea to take his place as the editor of Thinking in Stories. And so for the last few issues of our Thinking Journal, Peter reviewed books for those issues. And then we were able to move, when the journal closed, we were able to move the Thinking in Stories column online onto our website. And now that Digital Commons happened, we've moved it to Digital Commons. And so I'm going to show you that site now. So here we're back at the Digital Commons website, and this is our Thinking in Stories page. There's a little bit of background there. If you are interested in writing a review for us of a children's book that goes philosophical that you're aware of that we don't have, we invite you to do that. And there are guidelines here for how to do that. The kind of thing we're looking for that you can look at and send it to Peter. And as the editor, he will work with you to get it published. There's also a feedback form if you're using one of the books that we've recommended here in your classroom and you want to tell us how it went or give us more recommendations. We have a form there that you can fill out. What I really want to emphasize here is two ways that we've organized the Thinking in Stories website here. So first of all is by age group. And by age group, it's not, it's not strictly by age, but it's kind of like the like picture books, chapter books, middle grade books, young adult books, and we do have some books for adults, and we also actually have some films. So, for example, if we look at picture books, uh, these are just listed in alphabetical order, and you can click on any of these. Gives you information about the book, and then again, if you just click on download, you get the review. Then you can download the review. And again, these reviews are short; they're like 1,000 words. So the review, the one point of the review is to point out what's going on philosophically in the book, and another part of the review is trying to indicate how a teacher or a parent or a grandparent or a librarian might use the book to generate philosophical discussion with young people. So you can look at the books according to age group, and then when 4 years ago, when Russia invaded Ukraine, our Ukrainian colleagues who were doing philosophy for children in Ukraine asked us if we would put together a collection of books that they could use to help children think about and process what was going on with that war, both Ukrainian children in Ukraine who were experiencing the war firsthand, and Ukrainian children in refugee settlements, and also just other children around the world who knew what was going on or was listening to the news or hearing adults talk about it. So we did that. We did that was our first thematic chapter of Thinking in Stories. So we ended up creating a thematic chapter called Thinking in Stories about War and Dispossession. We broadened it. So here's an introduction to that. And then down here we have these 5 subcategories. So children's experiences of war, of forced migration and deportation, of internment, displacement by natural disaster, and immigration. So this is by theme. So the books in each of these sub-themes will be at various age levels. And of course, parents, teachers, and librarians can decide what age level is appropriate for the children or the young people that they are working with. And we felt that that was so successful. We got such good feedback about this first thematic chapter project that we decided to keep going with that. So our second one, which we just recently completed, was Thinking in Stories about Nature. And I should say that both of these are ongoing. So if you are aware of books, children's books that go philosophical in some way about either of these themes, please either let us know about the book or offer to write a review for us. And the way we did this is we just started looking at children's books that had something to do about nature, and categories just started to emerge. And this project took about 3 years. But in the end, at the end of about 3 years, these 10 categories sort of stabilized. So, for example, we have stories that address spiritual responses to the natural world, stories about young people who ask questions about nature, grew up to be famous scientists, parts of nature that are different from human beings, environmental justice, all different kinds of themes. Beauty and ugliness in nature. So again, the books under each of these sub-themes will be for different age levels, and you can decide which ones are appropriate for your context. We recently just very recently, got another small grant from the American Philosophical Association to begin our third thematic chapter in Thinking in Stories, which I'm very excited about. And it's going to be on democratic civics and political resistance and resilience. So, like protest and insurrection. So, right now we have a team of people who are looking at books that go philosophical on politics for children. That'll be our third thematic chapter. I'm really excited about that. Okay, so that was basically the curriculum. Oh, uh, I didn't show you, but the Gareth Matthews, maybe I can go back and show you that. Let me go back and show you that. So under the IPC curriculum, we have the IAPC novels, the Matthew Lippman novels, and the IPC teacher manuals that go along with them. We do have the New Jersey test of reasoning skills, which was created by the a testing service in New Jersey, and it was the first test of thinking skills for young people. And it's been translated in a few languages, so that's a resource we have there. Then we have the Thinking in Stories that I've just showed you. And the last curriculum offering that we have on our web, on the Digital Commons, is the Gareth Matthews, he called it the Wise Owl curriculum, thinking and talking about children's literature. He produced this with a literacy professor at the University of Massachusetts and with a school teacher who was a faculty development officer. And they only produced, I think it was 8 of these teacher guides. But it really gives you a sense of how Gareth Matthews was working. I'll just show you one of them. So here's from Frog and the Garden, the story of the garden in the Frog and Toad series. So he's giving a little bit of an explanation for the teacher, and then some kinds of philosophical questions that might come up. He's got a sample discussion, and this discussion is one that he actually led with some kids, and some discussion questions that children might discuss together. So there's only 8 of these guys, but they're actually quite extensive. Each one is quite extensive, and it sort of gives you an idea of the kind of thing you could do with any children's book that's going philosophical if you want to do this on your own. Okay, let me talk now just more briefly about the resources we have for scholars in philosophy for children. First of all is our Thinking Journal. So Thinking, the Journal of Philosophy for Children, it was the first academic journal dedicated to philosophy for children. It ran from 1979 through 2014. Today, fortunately, we have several others, academic journals that are dedicated mostly or largely to philosophy for children. In the course of our run, we had 4 different editors. And what you'll find in the Thinking Journal, it's not just a regular academic journal that just has, research articles. It does have philosophical and empirical research articles in every issue, but there's also, you'll find transcripts of philosophical discussions from schools. There will be curricular materials, philosophical stories and discussion plans published there, reports from the field from people doing philosophy in schools about the kinds of obstacles they faced and the kinds of resources they found. Excerpts from philosophers who wrote memoirs about their own childhood and the kind of philosophical wonderings they had as children. All kinds of different kinds of materials in the journal, which makes it a really fascinating journal for me. So I will now show you just briefly back to our website. So this is Digital Commons. This is under, if we go to the home page, as I say, the first link is for the curriculum, which I've just shown you. And then down below that is scholarship. And alphabetically, this is Thinking, the Journal of Philosophy for Children is there. And this is just organized by volume. So we start with volume 1, number 1 in 1979, and we end up with volumes 3 and volume 20, numbers 3 and 4. You click on there and you can just download it. I should say we don't have a searchable index of the journal on this site. The Philosophy Documentation Center has done that, has indexed it, and has done a searchable. So what I do is I go to the Philosophy Documentation Center. I do a search for an article I'm thinking, and then I come here and download the issue. All right, and then just a few of the other kinds of offerings we have under scholarship. Montclair State University, we had a doctoral program in pedagogy and philosophy, which was basically a philosophy for children doctoral degree that was conceived a little more broadly than that. And all the dissertations that came out of there are available here for download. So beginning in, let's see, the earliest was in 2004. The first one was Empathic Pedagogy by Matt Schertz, and then going on up through 2018. So this is a really nice resource of doctoral dissertations. We have been doing a history project for, I want to say, about 20 years now. And we are collecting both oral and written histories of the IAPC. So we have not very many written histories right now. There are more that we're going to be adding here, but there are some there. And the oral history project is really alive and strong. So we've organized these are video interviews and audio interviews of people who were involved in philosophy in schools from in the early years. Um, and uh, and also IAPC fellows from around the world who have been doing work in different parts of the world. And so this is organized by IAPC faculty and staff, graduate students, and visiting scholars. And then this link on top has all of them. So I'll just show you briefly. Um, there's Phil Cam. Just recently, we were able to upload um, the last interview Matt Lippman gave in 2008. He died in 2010, so this was just like a year and a half before he died. Um, I haven't advertised this to the world yet, but it's here. It's up here and posted, so you can watch it there. Here's one I just saw. I think Elizabeth is with us here. Liz Lyell is with us in this meeting today. So she was in the first cohort of master's students in 1981, and her stories about Matt Lippman and Ann Sharp and working with them were just fantastic. So if people who have a historical an interest in the history of philosophy in schools and the kinds of ups and downs of trying to do this kind of work, this is a really valuable resource, and I find it very entertaining. The last thing I'll just indicate here under our scholarship resources is collected papers. And like many parts of our digital commons site, this is a work in progress. Um, but I'll just show you, for example, David Kennedy is one that we recently completed. David retired just the year before last. All of David's publications that we have the right to make public for public download are here. So, for example, things that he published in our Thinking Journal and in other online journals and place journals that have given us permission to put things here are here. So obviously this is not everything that David has done, but it's quite a bit. And you can look at his CV, to get the full, if you want to know everything David Kennedy has published, you can look at it here. Including his dissertation from 1986, Young Children's Thinking. So again, this is a work in progress, our collected papers series. We'll be adding more materials to the names here, and we'll be adding more names here as we go along. All right, two other websites I just want to let you know about that are not part of the IAPC Digital Commons that are important for scholars in philosophy for children. This is the philosophy for children subcategories in the database philpapers.org, philosophypapers.org. If you want to, I'll leave this up for just a minute. If you want to scan that QR code, so you can get to the website. A few years ago, we we negotiated with philpapers.org to let us create a philosophy for children section in PhilPapers. PhilPapers.org is basically a database that is attempting to index every publication in philosophy published in any book or any journal or any book chapter. So it's quite extensive and it's in multiple languages. I'm just going to briefly show you their website. So, if you go to philpapers.org, you can search basically any philosopher or any topic and see what's been published. We had to negotiate these subcategories with the pre-existing subcategories in their database. But for example, if you want to look at philosophy for children and aesthetics, you can click on that, and there are so far 88 articles that you can download. I'm sorry. A lot of these you cannot download. They don't have the actual file here, but you can get the reference to where you can locate it. Some there are full text. It just depends on if the author uploaded their full text here. So this is a really important resource, and I highly encourage those of you who are publishing in Philosophy for Children to please submit your publications here so that scholars who are researching philosophy for children can find it. All right, and then the other outside website I wanted to show you is, as I mentioned, Montclair State University has a special collection of books in philosophy for children. And as you see here, it includes theoretical books, curriculum, and curriculum materials. And I'm absolutely positive this is the largest physical collection of books in philosophy for children anywhere in the world. Fortunately, people send us stuff all the time, like if they've written a new curriculum, or if they have a new dissertation coming out, or if they have a new monograph related to philosophy for children, they send it to us, or I ask them for it, or I try to purchase it, get the library to purchase it. So this is a really nice resource. And again, I'll just quickly show you this website. This is our librarian who created this for us. So for example, if you click on theory, if you want to look at books in this collection on the community of inquiry, you can go there. And these are the titles we have. And so again, I would encourage you, I would ask you, if you have books, either theoretical books or curriculum materials that are not in our collection, please let me know and we'll figure out a way to get your books in our collection. This is something actually that is a big draw for visiting scholars who come to come and spend a month or a week or a semester with us at the IAPC. They usually spend quite a bit of time with this collection. And as I said, we have multiple languages, books in multiple languages on philosophy for children. Okay, and finally, just a quick look at our archive. This is the part of our digital commons that is, I think, the least developed. But I did want to show you a couple of things here. First of all, we have been really fortunate in the last couple of years to locate and find and then digitize and get permission to upload here some television programs on philosophy for children. For example, in 1983, Matt Lippman appeared on the television show Good Morning America, and that was a big deal. And we we negotiated with ABC Disney Company to pay a small. We got the price down to where we could afford it to get permission to put it up here. So you can either just watch it live streaming here, or you can actually download it.
Well, you see, people think that everyone can reason equally well, that they don't need teaching and reasoning. And because this is generally taken for granted, there are no clinics to diagnose reasoning deficiencies. There are no procedures for remediation, the way there are, for example, reading clinics and help for people with reading deficiencies. And
that's just a little clip there. This top one here about, we just discovered when we interviewed one of the master's students, Nick Dianuzzo, who began a philosophy for children working with drug-dependent teenagers in Patterson while he was getting his master's degree at Montclair. And so The public television station interviewed him and Matt Littman, and we didn't even know until we interviewed him, and then he was able to send us the digital file. So, so that's fun, and we do have some more programs that we'll be adding there. And IPC demonstration videos. This is another thing. The IPC archive has a number of very old videos that when they were first doing philosophy in schools, and they videotaped sessions, and they used those videotapes to present at conferences and at workshops. And we have a number of those in the archives that we are slowly, as we get enough money, digitizing and then uploading here. So here's one from 1975 in black and white. And it's just really interesting to see the kind of practice that was considered good practice in facilitating philosophical discussions with young people in 1975. So as I say, there's a number of others that we will be digitizing here as we're able to. And then just to wrap up, this is just our social media. A few years ago, we started a Facebook page. If you are interested in the IPC and what the things we do, whenever we upload a new video or a new Thinking in Stories review or a conference, we advertise it on Facebook. So we got a conference last week in Las Vegas. Here's today's meeting was advertised there. This is just a quick way to follow what we're doing. So you're welcome to follow us there. And our YouTube channel is quite new. So most of the videos that I showed you on the Digital Commons site will also be here on YouTube, and it's sometimes easier to watch on YouTube. And there are things on YouTube that are not on the Digital Commons because other people around the world who post things in philosophy for children that are relevant to our work, I'm able to capture and bring in here. So if you click on our playlists, you can see like here's videos with David Kennedy, videos with Anne Margaret Sharp, videos with Matthew Littman, book talks. Here's a playlist of just children doing philosophy. Yeah, let's see, view the playlist. So in all these different videos, we have excerpts of children doing philosophy of different ages. And I think finally, I just wanted to plug our residential summer course at Mendham, New Jersey. We do that every August. This year, it'll be August 1st through the 8th. And it's a wonderful, kind of a magical living, learning community that we're together for 8 days in this beautiful wooded area. And we do philosophy for 8 days together and eat together and hike in the woods together. It's pretty wonderful. Oh, yeah, we have a site here where you can read about it and sign up to register if you're interested. All right, and very last of all, the IPC has no income. The university does not provide us with a budget anymore, so we are pretty much dependent on donations. And so if you are using our materials or if you find us helpful, if you just want to support us, please consider giving us a little donation here and there, particularly if you're going to be downloading some of our materials. Even just any small amount, even $1 or $2 for everything we download would really help us out and allow us to keep finding, resources to digitize more materials and create more of those e-publications of our curriculum. So that's my shameless plug, and thank you so much. This last QR code goes to a site where it's got links to all of the different pages that I've just shown you. So that's like a one-stop QR code for everything the IAPC is involved in if you're interested. So I'll just leave that up for maybe a few more seconds, and then I will stop sharing and we can have questions and discussion.